All right, we are live with episode 3 of the Obi-Wan Aftershow. This is the show brought to you by the Keeg, where we do an after show, literally right after Obi-Wan Kenobi premieres at like midnight Pacific time, and then like 1 a.m. Pacific time. It's a late night show. We do it because we got the passion. I'm your host, Dimitri Pereira, and also on the after show we got co-host Matthew Morey. Matthew,
What's
how
up?
you doing?
How's it going, man?
It's going good. Yeah, all things considered. You know,
Yeah, of course.
You know, feeling a little under the weather or whatnot, but I can't be worse off than Obi-Wan, right? Like I feel like he's in a tough bind. Right now.
Not at this moment, anyway.
Our guest for today, for episode 3, is the impeccable, illustrious. Is there another I adjective? Ingenious.
Indubitable boy.
Indubitable. Austin Archer. Austin, how you doing tonight?
Dude, I'm wearing a bucket hat. It's 1 a.m. I got my dueling red and blue lightsaber lights behind me.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. You know?
Are you normally a night owl?
Yeah, I would be up working anyway.
Yeah.
I'd either be watching TV or working right now. So
Yeah, that's fair. Are you a big Star Wars fan?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was growing up, I had a hefty collection of action figures, and I had one out of the box and one in the box of all the characters that I wanted. I still have them.
Oh, nice.
I still somewhere in my parents' house. I have a huge case full of like 100 figures in the in the original packaging, like in the cases, and it's just sitting in a box. And I'm like, I need to do something with that. But yeah, I grew up as a huge fan.
Yeah.
So
that takes a lot of like dedication. As a kid, I always opened my stuff.
oh yeah, me and my friends we knew the people at Walmart and Toys R Us by name, and we would call them on the phone and they would tell us when the new shipments were coming in of toys.
Yeah.
And we would be there like the day that the new boxes arrived, so that because we had like a list of things we needed. We were like, cool. So there's a new like IG-88 is coming out, and like this is a new figure that we don't have, so we're gonna go and get two, one to be in the box and one to be out of the box. And like,
Nice.
Were you a kid or an adult doing this?
I was a kid.
I can't imagine.
I was like,
Everything comes out of the box for me. I can't afford double either. It's like one is good enough, and I open it.
yeah. I always
started
had
off opening.
money from acting in commercials and TV and stuff, and I spent it on toys and shit. So
Did you act as a kid?
yeah, I did.
Oh, do we know you from someone? Or are you you're the pancake kid?
No.
No.
I was acting on like TV shows, like doing like one-liners here and there, and doing like local commercials in Utah where I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Like cool one-liners, like you're on a Disney Channel thing, and then like you walk into a cafeteria, you slip on some mashed potatoes, and you're like, "Ah, my back," and then that's it. Like that's your one-line type thing.
No, not even like I was in an episode of Touched by an Angel where I was like a really racist kid in the 1960s.
Oh wow.
So yeah, you know.
That's a cool start to the career.
Yeah, I was like bullying some other kid that you know.
But look at you now. You're quite the opposite. You're you got a good thing going on TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You got your bucket hat. You got your chain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bucket and
lightsabers?
chain, lightsaber lights. Everything's going fine.
Yeah.
There you go.
Were you looking forward to this show? Quick question: did you want this show to happen? Was it like, oh, I'm looking forward to it. I want to know what Obi-Wan's been up to in the meantime.
You know, I'll tell you straight up. As a Star Wars fan, as a person who like is invested in the characters and in the Star Wars universe, and who will watch whatever they come out with.
Yeah.
I haven't really loved the Disney Plus properties. I just have felt I feel like they feel like kind of like YouTube fan films. Like it's really weird to me that they're like the wealthiest production company in the world, and the shows that they're putting out, I'm like, why does this feel so cheap and like poorly put together? It's so weird. Why can't it have the cinematic quality of like the films that come to theaters? I don't get why they opt to go for like the cinematic quality of like a CW show or something. I'm like, what is
that's harsh. I don't think it's comparable.
It's a little higher than that.
It barely though. Like I watch these shows and I'm like, you guys have the money to do a better job than this. I don't get why they opt cinematically to make it look like something that is so cheap. But I was like, I'm gonna watch it because it's Ewan McGregor and it's Hayden Christensen and it's it's a lot of like at this point legacy cast members, it's like there was a time when they were the newcomers and at this point they're like these legacy cast members.
Yeah.
So I was definitely gonna watch it. And I think I'm invested now just to spite the people who are so butthurt about Moses Ingram. Yeah.
That's wild what's going on out there.
It's so disappointing. It's so it's not like surprising, but it's just a bummer. It's just like, man, what a shitty person do you have to be to be 2022 and be like that annoyed about a black person being in Star Wars? It's like like Billy D. Williams, Samuel L. Jackson.
Right.
What's your beef? Your beef? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's really weird.
We were at Star Wars Celebration, or at least I was. Matt was at the after party. What we did, and like. What a lot of us kind of talked about, like a lot of the Star Wars TikTok content creators, is like the in-person Star Wars community is cool. Yeah. They're way better. But the people who hide behind their keyboards and their screens, who don't go out to Celebration, they're not going to try shit. Can you imagine? If somebody tried some racist shit? No.
Yeah, I wore my Rose Tico shirt to that to try to I was ready to go at it.
It was a different vibe.
It was going to give me a hard time. Everyone was all down with it. They all
like in anything else, like they actually are the minority of the fandom, which is so unfortunate. They wind up driving the online conversation, but there are millions of Star Wars fans worldwide, and there's probably like 10,000 of these guys out there on the internet doing this stuff, and it's enough that they can make a big old noise. They can create their own little chat rooms, and if 10,000 people DM an actress and say, hey, we think you suck, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people saying like really, really shitty things to a person. Even if 100 people do it, it's a lot. And it's a drop in the bucket compared to the overall amount of Star Wars fans that exist in the world. But it's frustrating that they get to sort of color the conversation and they get to sort of be the focus of, and that's how it always is. It's like, the factions of people who are actually like avowed white supremacists in the United States, it's like probably like 100,000 strong, but they are an offshoot of a much bigger group, and they make a lot of noise.
Miss Marauder is out there in the comments. Mr. Plow is out there. Miss Marauder says the positivity of Celebration and then the whiplash of the first TikTok that she saw about punching baby Leia. There was like a guy on TikTok who was just like, oh, baby Leia sucks. I'm going to elbow her in the face.
Which is weird because one of my big takeaways from the first three episodes is that I really like that actor. I think that she's doing a fantastic job. I think I love when I see, and I think that's also something that like traditionally Star Wars has been panned for, is like not great child acting. And like, I think in retrospect, we can all say like, I was a kid when I was going hard on Jake Lloyd. I was like his age and I was jealous that he had the job that he had. And in retrospect, it's like, no one should have gone that hard on that kid, on that child in that movie.
Or Jar Jar. And, Jar Jar got
And this girl that's doing Leia, I'm actually like really impressed with the gravitas that she brings to it. And with the maturity of a lot of her line readings. Like she has a lot of like poise as an actor, as a young actor, that I'm really impressed with. And I get why they hired her.
I feel like I'm loving her performance, and I feel like it does remind me of what Leia would be when she was younger. You know? And I feel like I don't know, Matt, you and I talked about like, is she force sensitive for like empathy and emotion? Like, do you feel that's like part of her character?
She's force sensitive.
Like in episode 1 and 2, especially, she's always like,
obviously they haven't like really showed us anything explicit yet, but I think that's where it's heading toward, and that's why they talked about it in this episode. Force sensitive children being like not even just Jedi, just like force sensitive children. Being taken. So I think we're gearing up to that, and we know she is. So
right. I'm wondering about how this is going to affect continuity, but I know they got a plan. That'll be fine. I mean, I'm normally a stickler for continuity, but not to the point I'm hateful. I'm just like, hey, this got to make sense. Like, how's this going to make sense? Like, I need it on my own brain.
Yeah, I've already got questions with that, especially after this last episode. I'm like, okay, a lot of stuff happened in here that makes me be like, so what? It's like 8 years later that A New Hope happens, or like 10 years later.
Yeah.
And they had this gnarly of a fight. He and Darth Vader did like this gnarly of a fight.
Yeah.
Where he got like dragged through fire, and there's just lines that are popping into my head like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now that's a name I haven't heard in a long time, and I'm like, but everyone's calling you that. Like, so I guess it's not after this show. Maybe he doesn't hear it for like 10 years. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, like maybe all the growth that gets to New Hope is in the last 10 years before.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe. What did you think about episodes 1 and 2? Like going into this third episode?
I like the way that they've been slowly developing his. You can feel the show wanting to build up to him coming back to form a little bit as Obi-Wan Kenobi and sort of reclaiming his former glory. I don't know if he'll ever actually get there in the run of this show. It feels like he will. It feels like that's what the show wants to do. And so I did really like that. I got to say, anytime a show does what they've been doing with the lightsaber, where they're making a real meal out of like, we're going to show you the lightsaber first at the end of episode 1 on his belt, and like, okay, he's got it. Episode 2, the whole episode, you're going, is he going to pull it out? Is he going to pull it out? Is it time? Is he going to pull it out? And he's really reluctant. And that's also character based, that he's not ready to return to that yet. He's going to use a blaster, and he also doesn't really want to like reveal himself as a Jedi publicly. So it's sort of this thing of like not being confident in it and also not wanting to reveal himself. But they're really making a meal out of it. And I even thought maybe he would pull it out when they were fighting those stormtroopers in episode 3.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, maybe now it's happening. And then we get this Darth Vader moment, and I thought the emergence of the lightsaber was sort of after all that buildup, and after all that, it was sort of like, oh, he just kind of like took it out to use it as a flashlight. And I was like, oh, I thought they were gonna make a bigger thing out of that. They teased it out for 3 episodes, and then they just were like, hey, he's got it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lighten up. Yeah, Matt, you got a thought about that? Lightsabers?
No, I mean, when he first fired it up, it was kind of cool to hear like the light, the glare was like kind of blinding him and everything, and he couldn't really see outside of it. And he's
rusty.
Yeah, rusty.
He is so
not
rusty.
Used to using it and blinding him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was cool. I mean, I agree. It didn't seem super eventful. Like we didn't really get like any like music swelling or anything when it happened. But definitely kind of showed how rusty he was. He has to get back into it. Yeah. I kind of liked that it was kind of easing us into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought him going into the fire was going to explain why he looks like Alec Guinness like a couple years ago.
He's just emerges CGI Alec Guinness.
Yeah. It's just like, I got burned. Like, my skin can't handle this heat.
Yeah, they could do the Emperor Palpatine thing where it's like the Force morphed me into this guy. Like I got Force morphed into this guy.
Oh yeah.
And that's why, that's why I look the way that I look. But it's like, it could be something like that where like, I mean, you look at what happens to people as they're aging when they go through a near-death experience, when they have like a heart problem or something like that, or like cancer, and it ages them a lot. Like you'll see a person go from being like 50 with some gray hair in their beard to like full white hair in the course of like 5 years if they go through something difficult at that age, if they go through a difficult health transition. So it could be that they're trying to utilize that like he's going to be in a weakened state by the end of the show.
Yeah.
And it's going to sort of leave him looking older, you know?
Or people just say, the Tatooine sun, just like, wrinkles him up. All
Yeah.
right, fair. Maybe that's not something we need to like pay attention to. But here's a question: is it Hayden Christensen in the suit? Is it him in the suit? Because it's not him voicing it, right? Is it still James Earl Jones voicing it?
Sounds like James Earl Jones.
I had to look that up to make sure it was actually James Earl Jones and not somebody just like impersonating him.
That's another one of those things that like we've always had to just sort of go with, is that like somehow the injuries and the suit just made him talk that way. Like so, for some reason, the burns and the suit made his voice like vaguely British and like
has a gravitas to it.
Yeah,
it's like, oh,
you know, and we just have to sort of like go with that like he speaks completely differently now. And I think you can just go with like it's the Darth Vader identity fully taking over, that it's like he is a different person than Anakin Skywalker now.
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised if it was Hayden Christensen in the suit, the same way that, you know, like Pedro Pascal played the Mandalorian in that suit. I think that if you're going to bring Hayden Christensen in to do the show, you might as well like let him act as much as possible in the show.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's almost like if he's not in the suit, what is he doing?
Right.
I mean, then again, in a lot of TV shows and stuff, like if you don't see their face, it's a stunt actor, you know?
Right, but like they're saying he's in it. They're not using his voice.
No. And they're not
using his face.
Yeah.
So what else would he be doing? He's got to be in the suit.
If I'm Hayden Christensen and they're inviting me back to do this show, I'm gonna say like, let me be the guy in the suit.
Yeah.
Like let me do it. Like if all you've got for me is a few shots of me with like a burned face and maybe like a shot where Obi-Wan's seeing me in like a force vision or something. Yeah. If that's all I'm gonna get to do is like a few of those as myself, let me be the guy in the suit. I wanna do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think as far as, well, first things first, we are live streaming to volume.com/The Keeg Show, twitch.tv/The Keeg Show, and youtube.com/The Keeg Show. TJ on YouTube says Obi-Wan was way too weak. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? He was weak. He's been hiding for so long. He's been, like, what's he gonna do? Just like do an all-out fight with flips and stuff?
It's build up, you know, it's like people who watch the Batman and they're like, how come he's like making so many mistakes? It's like, cause it's year 2, it's build up. It's it's like they're building up the character. Like you know, how come Bruce Wayne wasn't like the Bruce Wayne that we're used to? Cause he's not used to using that persona yet. Yeah. Like he hasn't figured out the power of the Bruce Wayne persona yet. Yeah. It's build up. Like we're going to get there. Like you can tell that the show is trying to build toward that. But I had the same feeling as a fan that I'm like, I don't like watching a character like Obi-Wan who throughout the prequels was one of the best duelers in the universe. Yep. To see him like fallen so far from his former glory in just 10 years feels like, but he's been telling us that for the first 3 episodes. He's been telling us like, I'm not the same guy. Right. I haven't been practicing. I don't do drills in my free time. Like I have laid down my weapons and I do not fight anymore. Right. So if you used to be a professional fighter and you haven't like thrown a punch in 10 years, you're going to be a little bit rusty.
Right.
Say, like when professional baseball players retire, you know, the gut comes within 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not the same in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vader was ruthless in this episode.
Absolutely.
He just shows up. This kid like comes out and goes, "Dad," and he's like, "Nah, you're dead." Did you say dead or dad? Dead? All right, dead. And then he killed him. You know? And it's like, oh, this Vader has no mercy and no heart.
Oh yeah.
Is that normal? Is that what he just wants to kill Obi-Wan. There's no redemption.
After what you saw in Rogue One, like that was like the introduction to like this is why people fear Darth Vader. This is why even the bad people in the universe are afraid of this person, because he can show up and just start snapping necks and crushing esophagi, and just
the esophagusy. I think this
the esophaguses of people in random villages. But these are the sequences. So like the fight between him and Obi-Wan, and a sequence like that where like I personally want a little bit more cinematic flair. Okay. Like in a scene where Darth Vader shows up and starts choking people out and I'm like, I want it to feel like that scene in Rogue One. I want just a little bit more of like a wide shot view of this. Like the constant cutting is very TV. It's a very like TV thing, like to stay close and do lots of cuts in action scenes. And that's what happened in the duel between him and Obi-Wan, is it was really close up and it was lots of cutting. Yeah. And I'm like, this isn't cinematic. This isn't what it would be if this was a movie. And I want, as a Star Wars movie fan, when Vader shows up, I want the cinematic view, man. And so I get a little bit just visually taken out by stuff like that. But I definitely like that the character is brutal and that he seems turned off and to any kind of compassion and fully Darth Vader.
I know Matthew and I had been talking about how like Matthew wants just more movies, and the fact that like Star Wars isn't making movies. Like what's going on?
Yeah, it super bums me out. You just really put to words how I feel lately. It's like definitely feels like a TV show. Movies or something.
I would love to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. Like I would love to see like an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie done in the style of something like Rogue One, or like I think that they could do this storyline of Obi-Wan Kenobi going to rescue a young Leia Organa in a movie, and I think that you could fit that storyline into 2.5 hours. I think
this was going to be a movie, right? And they adapted it to a series.
They dropped all their movie plans because they were going to just do a Star Wars story, right? They were going to do Solo, a Star Wars story, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, Kenobi, a Star Wars story. Like they were just going to do Star Wars stories. Boba Fett, a Star Wars story. And then things didn't work out with Solo, and then episode 9, and then they're like, we got Disney Plus and there's COVID. Like, okay, we're just doing like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what happened.
4 out of the 5 movies gross over $1 billion, and they call it a disappointment.
I know, it's so wild. Just there's one that doesn't really pan out, and it's like, let's scrap it. It's like we're not all gonna rush to the theaters to watch an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. Like, of course we will.
Yeah. Do you feel the same way about Marvel shows, like Marvel Disney Plus shows?
I do. I feel like the TV shows, for some reason, like Loki felt a little bit more cinematic and felt a little bit like some of them have worked out okay, but like I felt like Falcon and the Winter Soldier felt like a TV show, big time. Like had a lot of action sequences that felt like a TV show, there's just like something about it, something about the aesthetic, and it's weird because it's like it's the same company and they should be operating with a similar budget, but it's almost like since it's TV that they scale it down, and I just can see it. And it's weird to have the same actors and the same characters in a shared cinematic universe, but in like a different cinematic aesthetic, in like a TV aesthetic versus a movie aesthetic. It's weird. It feels like a downgrade, aesthetically.
Yeah.
To me.
What was Matt saying?
Oh, I didn't say anything. I could add, I kind of agree with the Marvel stuff. At least they're doing movies still, so we have that. WandaVision felt like a TV show in the best way possible. So
WandaVision,
it's like you gotta adapt these things properly. They can work, but
I think it's like it's the tight schedule. That's what it is. When you start thinking towards franchise and not a single movie. Your goal isn't to make the single movie the best thing it could be. The goal is to make the single movie the best given the circumstances, and then move on, right? Mm-hmm. You got to cut corners. That's fine. You got another movie coming up. You're good. In 3 months, there'll be another Marvel show. Like, that's kind of the point. I think it's a tight schedule thing, because that's what TV all has in common, is tight schedules.
Well, Marvel always has been the most expensive TV show in the world. Like that's what it is. It always has been a TV show, the MCU at least. And it's just been very expensive episodes that come out like twice a year and that everyone goes and sees in the movie theater. And they have A-list actors in them, and they have like really, really huge budgets. But it's a TV show. It's a serialized, like continuous episodic story. Right. And so to adapt it into this thing, it feels like a natural progression. But I just think, for me, the adjustment is just like adjusting the budget and the aesthetic to be like, it's a TV show now.
Yeah.
Now it actually is a TV show. It's not a movie. And the story is broken up into sections that come out weekly, and it's just a different thing.
Right. Do you feel, I don't know, just I don't want to get too off topic, but do you watch Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Do you think that Stranger Things falls under a not cinematic enough? It falls under a TV kind of thing? Because you're binging it. That's kind of the difference, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched the latest season. Is it out yet? The new season?
The first half. Yeah.
I haven't been watching it yet. But there are TV shows that I think really feel more cinematic to me. But also it's hard for me to say because Stranger Things always was a TV show. So I was always watching it like a TV show. I think I don't mind the TV show aesthetic per se. And I think that there's like so many TV shows where like we're living in the golden age of television.
Right.
And like I love HBO and like I just think HBO crushes so many different shows that feel cinematically great and have great cinematography and like it's not that this show Obi-Wan Kenobi has like bad cinematography or looks cheap per se. It's the adjustment of like thinking in my head of something as good looking as Rogue One is. It's such a gorgeous movie cinematically. Like it's such a well shot movie. And even like the episode 7, 8, and 9 were all three like gorgeously shot. Like the cinematography in those movies is stunning.
Right.
And to change over to a TV aesthetic is just a weird adjustment for my brain to make.
Right.
You know?
Also, Rogue One had the same cinematographer as the Batman. Yeah. And like you can tell
he's crushing it right now. He also shot Dune and like he's just he's just,
okay. What's his name? It's like
his name is Fraser, Greg Fraser, and he's just crushing.
Did he shoot Blade Runner 2049 also?
I don't know.
I think Roger Deakins shot Blade Runner 2049.
Did he do the Planet of the Apes stuff? The new stuff?
I don't know. He might have, but he's fantastic. Greg Fraser is like he's crushing it right now.
Yeah. He did Zero Dark 30. He did Lion. He did Rogue One, Vice, Dune, and the Batman. That's his. He's probably done other stuff too.
All those Star Wars movies you mentioned shot on film. This is definitely shot on digital.
Yeah.
It's gonna change the aesthetic.
That's what exactly. I'm like it is shot on. You can just see the difference in how it looks and that. To me, like that helps me get into a story when it looks gorgeous. And when I'm looking at, so when you talk about Stranger Things, I'm like, well, my mind is already set to TV show setting. Right. It's already like set to,
right.
And I think it's a good looking TV show. I think it looks great and the effects are great. But I don't know if there was a Stranger Things movie first that had like gorgeous cinematography by Roger Deakins or Greg Fraser, and then they did a TV show, I might be like, the TV show is a little bit of a drop off in quality, you know?
Right. So it's an embarrassment of riches that we have a movie to compare it to with Star Wars. We have all these movies that we're like, it doesn't do it any favors.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. As far as this whole, like, what's the plot of this show? The plot is Obi-Wan's trying to get Leia back home, right? And then the Inquisitors are on his ass. And something weird's going on with the Inquisitors, but we're learning little bits and pieces, like they've been helping, or there's like an underground railroad of sorts to get Force-sensitive people out and safe. Yeah. You guys feel like that's checking, you know?
Oh, my take on that was that they're taking these kids and they're like, that's who the third sister is. She's like one of these kids that was taken, and then like they're training them to be more Inquisitors. Like they're training them like under the school of Darth Vader, and they're like trying to create like a Sith army. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe you're right that it's more of like there's an underground.
Yeah, we're talking what Tala has, right? Tala says like everybody's like signing their names on the wall. And like I think it's like an underground railroad thing. Now they did mention that kids go missing. When did they do that? In this episode, there was a part where they mentioned that the kids went missing, and I feel like that's
in the droid
Reva.
factory.
What'd you say?
In the droid factory, they said that when they're in the little back room.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like they take the kids, and I think that's what Reva is. You know.
Yeah.
Miss Marauder says, I'm all in with the theory that Reva was in the Jedi Temple when Order 66 happened. That's why she had that intense reaction to seeing the Jedi symbol. Yeah, I think Reva's an ex-Jedi or Jedi youngling. You know?
Ooh.
They
and
have
she feels betrayed by Obi-Wan.
that the Inquisitors some of them are former Jedi, right? Yeah. They did show us that scene that's for now this is seemingly unrelated. That would to open the show, right? Oh, yeah. Of the
with the shooting and the Order 66 stuff.
Yeah, so I'm sure they're going to incorporate that somehow.
Right. That being said, what was I going to... Oh, she blames Obi-Wan for something, and somebody made up a theory online talking about how Obi-Wan is the one who sent out a beacon to say stay away from the Jedi Temple, like in Episode 3. Like, as the Empire or the clone troopers going in on Order 66, that he's the one who says, I told everybody stay away from the temple. So there is a fan theory out there that Reva is one of the kids that gets stuck in the temple and nobody comes to save her.
I could see something like that.
Yeah. Whether or not that's real, I don't know. It's a fan theory for right now.
Could be.
Yeah.
Pretty specific, but yeah.
Do you guys get mad when your theories don't pan out?
No.
No, not at all. I think that I actually rarely theorize personally. I just kind of like to watch.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things about like The Last Jedi is that everyone for 2 years was talking about like who's Snoke, who are Rey's parents.
Yeah.
I loved all the subversion that it was like, who's Snoke? Who the hell cares? Like the villain of this series is Kylo Ren. Like who cares who Snoke is? Like it never was about the Emperor. It was about Darth Vader, man. And that's who Kylo Ren is. He's Darth Vader. So like this whole, it was all, and then all the people that were so mad about that, I was like, no, but that's what's up is like the guy you need to be afraid of is this guy. I like just waiting to see what happens. I also want to say, I don't want to go backwards too much, but I want to say that each iteration of Star Wars, each generation has had a different cinema feel, going from like the 70s, 80s to the prequels to the 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
So to be fair, they always do have a different aesthetic. So having a TV iteration with a new aesthetic isn't that weird of a change. So I can amend that and say they always have a different cinematography style.
Yeah. Are you a fan of Last Jedi? Because Matt's a fan of Last Jedi, and I like Last Jedi. I just I like stuff they set up. I'm fine with.
Yeah, I think that The Last Jedi will, like, in like 20 years, be considered the best of that trilogy. Just the same way that like Empire Strikes Back is like when Empire Strikes Back came out, people were mad. People were like, "This isn't the same movie. Like this isn't in the same universe of movie." People were upset, and with time, it became. This is the best one. This is maybe the best Star Wars movie ever made. And I think that The Last Jedi is the same way, where I think with that trilogy, 7, 8, 9, I think that in time, in 20, 30 years, it's going to be regarded as the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah. IGN just did a list like 3 days ago. They have Last Jedi at number 4.
Oh, yeah.
Behind all the original trilogy movies.
Do we expect to see guest starring characters or whatnot? Like, do you guys have any like wants and desires to see someone show up?
Dude, I know that a lot of fans don't want to see it, but just to continue this thread of like a fuck you to the toxic fans, the people who it's like, I'm like, yo, bring me some Jar Jar, dude. Bring me some Jar Jar, and like, fuck you guys. You had this guy standing on the Brooklyn Bridge, like contemplating suicide. Yeah. Give that guy another run too. Like, we're bringing Hayden Christensen back after everyone was so awful to him. Yeah. Like, let's get him back in the suit, and let's bring me some Jar Jar Binks. Like, one scene, where he helps out Obi-Wan to do something where he's like, nice. Thankful, and it
would be nice for him to treat Jar Jar better.
Yeah, to see him, because we saw him grow in rank as the movies went on, as the prequels went on. So maybe there's some storyline that takes them through Coruscant, and Jar Jar, as a person who is now like a senator in the who's influential, can actually help out Obi-Wan with some like backdoor stuff. And there's just a meetup where he just says like, "Thank you for this," and he's like, "Of course," and it's just quick, just a quick little,
Yeah.
I could get behind a Jar Jar cameo.
Yeah. Totally. I'm fine with Jar Jar. Like, my standards aren't so nitpicky. Like, I feel like there are things they're going to do that I'm not going to like and things that I do like, but who am I to hate on these people who like it, hate on these people who are doing it,
It's definitely become like a punching bag, and everyone just piles on, and over the years, like,
right?
Yeah, we get it. Okay, I mean, I don't really care. I don't really care for him in the prequel trilogy.
No, he's a ridiculous character. But that's not the actor's fault. Like it was a poor character design and like a poor character, But like for that actor's sake, I'm like, bring him back.
I would say
he exists.
Get mad about this stuff.
I would say bring Ahmed Best back as a Jedi.
Ooh, I like that.
He does play a Jedi in that little kid. It's like a Star Wars game show for kids.
But that's a game.
He plays a Jedi. So maybe his character can have a part in one of these series or something.
Yeah. Miss Marauder says, I like the Quinlan name drop. Quinlan Voss. I don't know too much about it. I think I've seen some episodes of Clone Wars where he's in it. But that's cool. I want Dr. Aphra. She's in the comics, and she's solely in the comics. And Maya Erskine?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know who that is. No.
Oh, okay. She's Pen. Do you ever watch Pen 15?
Yeah.
Okay. She's what's her name? She's Maya.
Maya. She's Maya Ishii Peters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's gonna be in Obi-Wan. Like she's in the show. And
sick.
People are like, who is she gonna be? And there is a character that is an amazing character that if they cast her for it, they will give her a show. Like it's one of those characters. Like she will get her own show. If it is true.
Hey, is it confirmed whether or not Liam Neeson is in the show? Like, is he like on IMDb as like being in the show? Because that's another thing that they seem to be setting that up.
Right.
He's trying to talk to Qui-Gon Jinn. Like he's trying to, so I'm like, we gotta see him, right? Like,
right. I would assume so. Like, unless Liam Neeson's just like, he doesn't want to come back. I don't know. Or he might do just a voice.
Yeah.
Like a voiceover kind of thing. Because he also, his ghost would be young Liam Neeson, like Liam Neeson when he died in episode 1, right?
Yeah.
It's been like 20 years. So.
Yeah, and they could de-age him, especially if he's blue.
Right.
And
if he's blue.
They could, you can do a little de-aging there.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
He did his voice in Rise of Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
So he'd probably be down.
Yeah.
What is going on with my computer?
I don't know.
I don't know what's happening. There's like, oh, okay.
Let's see, cast. Here we go.
What do we think is going to happen in the next coming episodes? We got what? Episode 4, 5, and 6? That's it. 3 more episodes. We're already done with half the thing. Like, after this is over, will it all have been worth it?
It's like the show's halfway over. It hasn't even been on for a week.
Right.
I mean, this is what I mean when I say, like, I think that this plot could easily be a movie. Like, this plot of, like, Obi-Wan hasn't fought for 10 years, and he comes out of hiding just to do this one thing to go save young Leia. And in the process, he sort of rediscovers his former strength. That's the plot of a movie. I think that stretching it out over 6 episodes is like, it gives in a TV sense, it's like you have an opportunity to have some cameos and have some characters come in. And I think that that's probably what we'll see in 4, 5, and 6 is like more characters popping in. I hope we go to a few more places. As a friend of mine likes to say, who is a movie critic who talks about these movies, he's like, get out of the desert. It's a massive, giant universe and galaxy. Get out of the desert. Why are we always in the desert? So I hope we go to a few more places that are different landscapes than like this episode. It felt like we went to Joshua Tree. I was like, cool. All right, we went to Joshua Tree Planet. But I so I hope we see some stuff like that. But I'm betting we see Obi-Wan rediscover some of his former strength, and that somewhere in there are some fun little fan service cameos and payoffs and
I don't know. Okay, like, I feel like this show is futile. Anyway, point being is, like, in the end, it doesn't matter because everything leads up to episode 4, right? Like, and it has to, like, kind of fit. So, it's not like he's been living off planet up until, like, a day before A New Hope starts, and then he, like, flies in, and then he's like, That's
Right. Well, but I mean, one of my favorite Star Wars movies, and I've mentioned it several times in this episode, is Rogue One. And it's another movie where it's like, you could say the same thing where it's like, well, we know what's going to happen. We don't really, what's the investment here? We know how it goes down. But I just think it's such a great standalone story. And I think that the tone of that movie and the fact that it's so dark and that all of the characters are doomed and you know it while you're watching it makes it this like tragic thing to watch that you're watching going like, no one's making it out of this thing, are they? Because I don't know any of these characters. And if they were these big heroes for the rebellion, they probably would be in 4, 5, and 6. And since they're not, that means that they're probably none of, and as you're watching it, you're sort of putting those pieces together. I just think it's a great movie. And I think that some stuff like this has the potential to do that too, where you're sort of like putting the puzzle together as you're watching it going, oh, I see how they're going to link this into 4. And that's sort of the undiscovered plot is.
It's funny that you mentioned that like you kind of knew how Rogue One is going to end. Maybe I'm the idiot. I went in thinking like they're going to get off the planet. I didn't think they were going to die until like a couple of them die, and I'm like, oh, now
I did too. I figured they were going to be heroes and like get away with it, but it was like halfway through the movie I was like, well, wait a minute. If all these people exist in the Star Wars universe and they were all this instrumental to the fight, wouldn't some of these characters have shown up? And then I was like,
not always.
They're probably all dead.
Not always. Like they invent new characters all the time.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
just off in a corner, like Maz Kanata in episodes 7, 8, 9. She doesn't appear in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6.
True.
Because it's like a different part of the galaxy. So like, maybe I'm the innocent, naive one where I'm like, no, they'll get through it. These are cool characters. I can't wait to see a sequel. Nope.
I think, and
they usually end. So
going back to cinematography, I felt like that Andor teaser trailer was like one of the most promising that I've seen for a Disney Plus show yet.
Okay.
I was like, okay, this tone already from this teaser, this tone feels a little darker. It feels a little grittier, which I think is the tone of those characters in that chapter of Star Wars cinema. So
I wonder who the cinematographer is for Andor, because if it was Greg Fraser again, like, great. But I was looking through his filmography, like he doesn't do too many. He did 1 episode or 2 of The Mandalorian, and that was it. Yeah,
I don't think that he's going to be doing a lot of TV now. I think he's like I think he was like sort of a cinematographer that was under the radar for a while. Yeah. And this last year where he did Dune and the Batman, people are like, okay, he's going to be, he's going to be the new Roger Deakins. He's going to be, high demand. So.
Right. Mr. Plow says Saw Gerrera. I don't know what he means by Saw Gerrera. I mean, I know the character, but like, I didn't think Saw Gerrera was going to die in Rogue One, but he did. Like maybe that was the first clue that they blew up a whole planet,
But he could show up. Saw Gerrera could show up in Obi-Wan. He's still alive.
That's true.
During this. So
is it a lot to keep up with? Like who's alive and who's dead? What point are they in the
Well, like all the Rogue One characters are in play. All the Rogue One characters are in play.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
Some of them will be kind of young. But
yeah. Well, people said the Rebels characters, like, you don't see them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, but like, or 7, 8, and 9, and like, but Hera and like those people, they're gonna appear in the Ahsoka show. So like, I feel like these characters are off doing their own thing, having their own adventures. I kind of like that better. That's my favorite part about Star Wars.
What about Donnie Yen's character? What's his character's name? What about that guy showing up?
Chiro.
Yeah, what about that guy showing up to do? Yeah, he was such a badass.
Yeah, it's reminding me of all the awesome cosplay that I saw in at Star Wars Celebration. There was a guy with contacts that had like mesh on it, so it just looked kind of like white.
Whoa!
Oh wow!
What's his name? Chimut Imwe.
Yeah.
So like, I think I want more Leia. I want to see this actress flourish. She seems great. I want to see Reva do more things and maybe become good. I don't know where she's going with this, because she seemed upset when Vader just killed random people.
She did?
I think so. When he snaps the kid's neck.
Oh, this is kind of weird.
She's kind of focused on Obi-Wan, but I don't think she's.
Well, I mean, she like threw the knife at that one guy, but I guess maybe the first episode she like threw the knife at the bartender guy.
Oh yeah. But I think that was a test,
she just sliced off that woman's hand and
right, because she's trying to get to Obi-Wan, right? I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. She's pretty brutal herself.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this after show? Seth Rogen as some mole man?
That's who that was. I was wondering who that was.
Yeah, Seth Rogen.
I was like, is that John C. Reilly as Seth Rogen? Okay.
Yeah. As Frink or Freck or something, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't hear the.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know.
John C. Reilly, you'd be a little bit more like, hey guys, can you give me?
Has Bill Hader done Star Wars voices?
He's BB-8.
He's BB-8.
Bill Hader is BB-8.
Oh no, isn't it Ben Schwartz's BB-8 that did the noises?
They're like,
but they do. Oh yeah, there was a combination of the two.
Yeah.
That's weird, but okay.
Right, yeah, they did like noises, and then they like used their noises as a framework to, or they did lines of dialogue. I think what they actually did was they read lines of dialogue, and then the sound designers took their line readings and like used that as the framework to like design the sound.
That's weird. I didn't know that.
So, yeah.
All right. Matt?
A couple thoughts. I like this episode a lot. This is probably the best one of the three so far. Yeah. I think.
Agreed.
I was getting like some random thought. It was reminding me of like The Last Jedi mixed with The Mandalorian. It's kind of like how I felt about this because like Obi-Wan's, kind of doesn't want to get into it. And then you got the force sensitive kid. He's got to like protect. I don't know. So it's like both of those put together. Random thought.
There's a lot in Star Wars about like a lone wolf samurai kind of situation. Lone wolf and cub. It's like has it been popping up way too much lately?
Oh yeah, that's a pretty big. What was it? The PlayStation game. God of War was like that.
Right. But like Mandalorian's all that. This is like that. What else?
Yeah. Bad Batch is kind of like that.
Bad Batch is like that?
Not so much a lone wolf, but like, you got the team of protector
ruffians.
of the young kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing right now.
There's going to be a lot of cool kids in 10 years. Like just all teaming up, fighting Vader. I don't know.
The other thing I want to mention, Stormtrooper falling onto the gate, getting sliced in half.
That was dope.
Holy cow. That was
dope.
And the Wilhelm scream. There's the Wilhelm
I actually like how violent this show has been so far. This show, all 3 episodes, I have had moments where I was like surprised that Disney Plus was like doing that.
Right.
You need dismemberments in Star Wars, man. We got it already. So.
Right. Because there's no blood either, because the lightsaber cauterizes. So fair. Side note, Stranger Things season 4 is the most grotesque out of all the seasons. So
okay.
I think their level of gore is higher in season 4.
And they've had gore in that show, so all right.
Season 3, that girl and the people just melt.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a gross one, but this one is uncomfortable. Like I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but like
the first season wasn't
the point where they had a disclaimer because of the Uvalde shooting. They had a disclaimer because it's episode 7 that has a scene that could be reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
And so there was a disclaimer at the beginning of the first episode, I think. So
trauma going down at a school, something like that.
Mr. Plow says, I think the Jedi Temple is worse. Yeah, that first scene of Obi-Wan Kenobi, that was literally a school shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brutal. Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see where they go from here. It's fun. Yeah. It's fun to have Ewan McGregor back. And yeah, again, it's a bummer that like a handful of and it's not just, I don't want to say handfuls making it sound like it's like 10 people. It's enough people that a very loud and obnoxious minority of fans are driving the online conversation into a really toxic direction. It's really frustrating, but I, for that reason, want to watch and enjoy the show all the more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we got to do. I think there's an extra joy in like, fuck the haters,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys both for coming on the show today, the Obi-Wan Kenobi after show. We were talking about episode 3, and we do got more episodes coming up. But I'm really interested to see how Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of sticks the landing. We got 3 episodes left, and I think they were kind of betting on this show being like the be-all, kind of the flagship show. Just having the name. Has it beat the numbers of like Mando? And
it's the most watched Disney Plus premiere yet to date.
Interesting. Okay. Before we get going, Austin, where can we find you? Because we are live streaming, obviously, and people can see your social media information. But it's also a podcast, and so they can't see you. They can't see your awesome bucket hat and train. So
they're missing out.
Yeah, they gotta watch it. They gotta watch it live. Where can people find you online?
You can follow me at yourpal_Austin on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. And I'm Austin Archer on YouTube. You can listen to my podcast, People Pleaser with Austin Archer, on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It's also on YouTube. There's a video version that we stream live every Tuesday. You can go to austin-archer.com to get my music and all of that stuff. austinarchermusic.bandcamp.com. I'm dropping an album on Friday. Go check it out.
Okay.
Yeah,
so, all right.
Good luck,
all
man.
right.
Good luck.
And
good
I mean,
luck.
I'm a big fan of your TikTok. So anyone who's not following you on TikTok needs to follow you because there's just a realism and a smarminess and a like sarcastic attitude, which is all positive things. They're like given the subject matter that you're talking about. I love it. I eat it up.
Appreciate it. Tomorrow I have a video about the toxic fans. So
Nice.
Good.
Sounds good.
Matt, where can people find you?
You can find me here for the rest of the show. Well, not this exact show.
Yeah. We got 3 more episodes.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, you're my co-host. I get it.
And
Matthew A. Maury at Instagram.
Matthew A. Maury. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. For anyone out there who wants to find the Keeg anywhere, basically it's the Keeg Show everywhere. Doesn't matter whether it's an @ or a backspace or backslash or whatever, you can find us. So Twitch, YouTube, Volume, Facebook, it's / The Keeg Show. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, @ The Keeg Show. We're all over the place, and you can find our podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. So we are all over the place. This is it. This is the end of our show. Definitely follow us next week for the after show for episode 4. But Austin, thank you again so much for being on here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I hope you start feeling better soon, Dimitri.
Today was the worst day, and then I think tomorrow will be better. I don't think I'm going up. I think if anything I'm plateauing or going down. So we'll see. I heal pretty quick, but
all right.
I'm feeling hot and not in a good way.
I had it a few weeks ago, and it was not fun.
Yeah.
It was 7 rough days. So
oof.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not that because I got shit to do.
Yeah.
Like I'm here. Like it's weird. Anyway.
Right.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you out there, Mr. Plow, Miss Marauder, even TJ on YouTube who just said Obi-Wan was way too weak. That's fair. Thank you guys so much. What's that? It is a take. Thank you for watching the Obi-Wan Kenobi After Show. I'm your host, Dimitri Pereira, and this has been the episode 3 After Show. Take care.